Let's play a rhetorical game of picture and association. What do you think is the link between these fighter jets, these classic pickup trucks, and the bike in this box? The correct answer would be that all of these are 100% designed and built in the USA. Over the course of my time with this channel, I've reviewed maybe 3 bikes that were at the least assembled in the USA, but this one is special because it's an e-bike. Actually, I'm going to hang on to the word special because it's an operative word for this entire experience, because I like it when a company goes out of their way to get the small details right. Like the fact that I received this bike via freight service and not UPS or FedEx, which I selfishly thought may just be because I'm a reviewer. After all, it did have my name on the box. So I inquired if this was a special case or if this was the standard experience, and big time bonus points, I was informed that this is the standard experience. And it's because all this company's bikes come fully assembled. Fully assembled, made in the USA, and I mean, check this out, even the packaging made in the USA right down to the corner protectors. American clad protection delivered via freight service, lift gated right to the end of my driveway, and other than this one small scratch on one of the multiple layers of this box. Super protective, meaning that this bike, which I've already mentioned, fully assembled, arrives completely intact. So well thought out is this packaging and process that there's nothing to do to the bike to get it out of the box other than just roll it off of the foam that holds the tire in place. As a matter of fact, there's only one zip tie in all of this packaging, and that holds this upper foam in place. Because everything is done in the factory before it ships out of the box, there's only one adjustment that needs to be made. Swing the handlebars to their desired position and tighten. Don't even need to hunt up tools because that's taken care of as well. Because there's a complete accessory bundle including this, which we'll be seeing shortly, an instruction packet, the bike's charger, which I'll also be talking about in a bit, and this tool bag with its electric bike company logo, which not only looks nice, but also makes this part of the best toolkit I think I've ever received with the bike. For reasons like this, the hex wrenches, not standard, they're ball end. There's also a basic screwdriver, a star bit wrench, and then this, that are not only nice quality, but they're here for one purpose. That foam that was around the handlebars, there's a single zip tie. They gave snips for a single zip tie. That's not only paying attention to small details, that's paying attention to every detail. Above and beyond, and we haven't even gotten to the bike yet, which, oh yeah, this is nice. And lets us know with some basic branding that it is from the electric bike company. Well, electric bike company, I'll give it to you. You've nailed everything thus far, so let's see what you've done with the bike itself. This is the Model E, which surprisingly they call their economy bike, though it doesn't look like a bike that would be on the low end of any spectrum, especially considering that it is made in the USA. Now, quality is something that's hard to relay on camera, though I think you can tell by some of these images just how well built this is. But let me just say that if you were as impressed as I was with the unboxing experience, then you're going to want to see the rest of this classic style cruiser, though to me it also kind of has a low and long 50s hot rod look. But first and foremost, it is a cruiser, meaning upright, comfortable riding with wide swept back handlebars. Comfort positions aplenty from the height of the bars and their pitch to the stem, which goes from 0 to a 60-degree rise. It's also 120 millimeters long. Tiny but nice details, the white stitching on the black leather grips. Lock-ons embossed with electric bike company branding. And beside that right grip, a thumb throttle, meaning if you want to, you can ride the Model E without even having to pedal. If you're a rider that wants more control and wants to use the pedal assist, the controls for that are beside the left grip with a simple 3-button setup. The controls are displayed via a centrally mounted color LCD screen, which I'll go over in detail shortly. For now, let's get back to the only other control on the handlebars, and that's the brakes. And these are Bengal hydraulic disc brakes. A brake system with a motor cutoff switch, and all the wires and lines cleanly routed and into braided cables, which is, I think, a subtle nod to classic cruiser motorbikes. When it comes to cruisers in bicycle form, a basket is almost a requirement to complete the look. For the Model E, a front basket is an option, but the basket that is made for this model is easily the most robust that I've ever seen. Constructed of an alloy tubed outer cage and a mesh steel liner. Also included with the basket add-on is an integrated front headlight. This is an HL3002 by Spanning. I've never heard of that brand, but it's acceptably bright. You can see it here lit up in noon sun. Underneath the exceptionally glossy underside of the basket is the fork, a classic rigid steel fork. Bolted to the fork on the review bike that I have are these add-on steel fenders, which fortunately come factory installed. If they're chosen as an add-on, I don't like to install fenders, but these came out of the box perfect, no adjustment needed. When I see a cruiser bike with a rigid fork, I expect bolt-on wheels, but for the Model E, there's a quick-release front wheel with an electric bike company sealed bearing hub. For the base model, the tires are Schwalbe Fat Frank E-Cruiser tires, 26 by 2.35. And those are mated to Electric Bike Company 2-inch wide jet set double wall alloy rims. Here's a look at the Bingle hydraulic brake calipers, at least the front one. The rotors, both front and rear, 180 millimeters. It's also worth mentioning that disc brakes usually either have to clean the rotors or adjust them, but out of the box, no rubbing, no noise of any kind. Let's talk about the frame now. It has internal cable routing and a stunning black finish, though there are countless color options. The frame material, aluminum. Design step-through, which makes this an easy bike to get on and off. I've already called this finish stunning, but I need to re-clarify here. It is automotive quality, and that means tough. There wasn't a scratch on this bike out of the box. The only scratch that it currently has here on the fender, and that's where another bike fell into it, and this is all it did. On the left side, a keyed lock to access the battery, which is flush mounted into the frame. And we're about to get to the e-bike parts, but before we get to that, to be a good e-bike at first needs to be a good standard bike, so it's nice to see things like this, the sealed bearing at the bottom bracket. On the opposite side of the bottom bracket, the Cadence Sensor. And that's nestled behind the chainring, which on this bike is a 58 tooth, and it has an aluminum double-sided bash guard. Crank arms, forged alloy, 170 millimeters long. The pedals, aluminum Welgo style with non-slip inserts and integrated reflectors. Integrated sealed bearings too. And how about this? If I think USA Transportation, I think US Auto Industry, so how about the pedals on this USA-made e-bike being union branded? Behind all of this crankset and the Cadence Sensor is the electrical wiring, which all routes out of the bottom of the frame and to the electrical points. And this, I didn't know what it was at first, and then I determined it was a speaker. We'll talk about that in just a bit. I knew it was too small to be the speed controller, plus weird place for it, especially considering there's this big triangle area on the seat tube, and that is, I believe, where the speed controller resides. At the rear wheel, we can see this is a single speed. It's an 18-tooth single gear. There's also a 7-speed variant of this bike. The motor, 48-volt Electric Bike Company branding. Well, there's also this branding. It's rated at 1,000 watts max output per their website, but I'm guessing this to be around a 750 watt nominal. If I learn anything different, I'll put it in the description. For now, let's get above the powery bits for a second and another add-on to this review bike because it's equipped with a rear rack. It's aluminum, it has a spring-loaded letter carrier, and per the stamping on the underside, it has a 25 kilogram weight limit, which is 55 pounds. This rack, like the front basket, being an accessory, it also comes with its own light. This tail light is a Solo by Spannings. It flashes when the headlight is turned on, but it's not the only rear lighting, because there are also seat stay mounted rear running lights, super bright, smart branded. There's one other safety element to the rear, and that's the reflector mounted to the rear fender. It's actually mounted to the mud flap for the rear fender, which is a nice soft rubber. Another small detail that caught my eye is these clear valve stem caps, and I mention this because clear, it turns out when you're showing it to someone and you drop it, very hard to find on the ground. That's why there's no valve stem cap on the front. This bike is marketed for riders 4'6" to 6'8". That's a wide range, and it's adjustable via a quick release seat post clamp. For the large, comfy saddle, that's 300 by 300 by 100 millimeters of thick foam. And on the back of the saddle's grip-matching black leather cover is not a printed, but an embroidered Twisty Roads logo. Classy all the way around. The battery can be charged in the bike, or it can be removed for charging, which is my preferred method. To remove it, you'll need these for the keyed lock, and let me tell you about these keys. This Model E is rocking the upgraded anti-theft security system. I didn't expect this feature to come on a review bike, and it wasn't until I was looking for the keys that I opened this box and found these. 2 wireless key fobs in this nice laser engraved mirror finish Electric Bike Company logoed keychain. You know, I've had $8,000 Vespa scooters with alarms, and they didn't have a remote fob that was this nice. And I didn't have to do any configuring, it was all set up for me. It's easy to use to arm and disarm, and loud enough to deter. Here, just take a listen. Again, nice job for Electric Bike Company with the small details, even for their add-on products, and even their add-ons have add-on small details. And since we're looking at accessories, I may as well show you the charger now. This is a cooling fan equipped charger with an aluminum housing, and they call this the supercharger, meaning it has an output of 3.5 amps, but I noticed on the back it's 3.5 to 4 amps, and this can charge a completely depleted battery in 4 hours. My average charge time for a mostly depleted battery, 2.5 hours. The battery itself, easy to remove, and with the key lock and the release button, it pulls right out. And by the way, on the bike I received, the keys were inside that anti-theft security box under the tray. On the front, there's an EBC Lightning emblem, and this battery is 48 volt, 14 amp hour. Other than the Electric Bike Company stickers, there aren't any other identifying markings. Their site, though, says this is Electric Bike Company approved and certified with NMC cells, which means lithium, nickel, manganese, cobalt oxide. Based on the quality of everything else I've seen with this bike thus far, I don't have any worries that these would be anything other than quality batteries. Reinstalling the battery quick and easy, fast out, fast in. Now the juice is ready to let loose, and with no load there's not really much motor noise, but it is a nice smooth spin up and a nice smooth off. With a load, it is louder. It's not obnoxiously loud, but people will know you're on an e-bike when you ride by. Now I'm going to transition from motors to kickstands, because that's a logical transition. But there's a reason, because this kickstand, it's unique. It's purposefully long. This is motorcycle-like. Their stated goal for this, to make the bike as stable as a motorcycle when parked. First impressions, I think they're doing the 100% designed and built in the USA sticker some justice. The ride, that's justifying too. Near effortless pedaling propels the Model E up to its 25 mph top speed. If, however, you want 100% effortless, then there's also the thumb throttle, which means no pedal riding up to 20 mph. And that riding, either way, is going to be on the street, because that's the sole domain for the Model E. I mean, this is a cruiser after all, and it does have a rigid steel fork, but still does have some flex, and that paired with the Fat Frank tires makes this bike do decent on rough-ish streets. Though I would still recommend avoiding potholes whenever possible. That said, I have taken this bike off a curb or 2 or 5, and I haven't had any problems. Now let's talk about pedal cadence at speed. This does have that 58-tooth front chainring and that 18-tooth at the rear, and that pair is a good matchup. Meaning there is no run out of pedal effect all the way up to the top speed of 25 at pedal assist 5. That said, it's still right at the limit. I found 23 mph to be the perfect sweet spot. The Cadence Sensor, that's an area that companies either get right or they get wrong, and it's easy to get wrong. But on this bike, it does well. Half a revolution to enable the motor, and it quickly turns off when pedaling is stopped. Wheels perfectly true out of the box. They hand build these at the factory, and smooth rolling thanks to the quality sealed bearings. One interesting quirk, and this is due to the mesh basket insert, when turning or if the wind's blowing a certain way, it makes a whistle. It's, I think, in A sharp. And next, I said I would get to this, so let's talk about the computer display, because this is a full color display. It's easy to control the 5 pedal assist modes using the up and down arrows. The info button or middle button selects between real-time miles per hour, average speed, or max speed. By the way, that 25.7, that's on flat ground. Pressing and holding on the up arrow turns on the lights, both the headlight and the tail light. Pressing and holding the down arrow controls pedal assist on or off. You can see it's off here. If I press and hold, it turns pedal assist on. Pedal assist off means the only powered mode is with the throttle. Pressing and holding both arrows puts it into a time and distance mode. However, while this is flashing, if you start randomly pressing on buttons, it is possible to accidentally somehow reset the odometer. Now, I've been thinking about this, and if I were a teacher and I were going to give this bike a grade, I would give it a 97, so a strong A+. What would be my mark-offs? Well, for starters, 1 point would be the display. It's color, but it's not very vivid, so in broad daylight, here, I can see it, but you can't. But even for me, it's not all that bright, and the color's so washed out it may as well be monochromatic. I did my best to duplicate this here, and you can see from far away, you can only see 2 colors, white and red. Of course, out in the sun, you can't even see the red. But as I get closer, you can see there's more colors. Purples, blues, and vivid greens, and by the way, in the upper right-hand corner, that's the actual temperature. And I would take off another point for that 1,000 watt peak rating. I just don't like that. I feel like it's deceptive. But even at roughly 750 watts, which is my guess, this is good even for a single speed bike. This is a hilly area. Actually, I'm riding in a flat area, but I live in a hilly area and it does well starting off even on hills. You know, I'm going to be a nice teacher. I'm grading on the curve. I'm going to make this a 98 instead of a 97 because those are my only two real complaints, and one of them's really not a complaint, it's just more a nitpick. Before I head to their website and talk about pricing, let's talk about ranges and what I've received thus far, because I'm only a couple of charges in, not counting the first charge that you're seeing here where I was playing around with all the settings. But in this neighborhood, on a fully charged battery, keeping it at pedal assist 1, riding loop after loop after loop, I got 40.1 miles. Now there are a half a dozen or so stop signs, and by the way, these Bengal brakes work great. And I didn't let it get down to the point where the battery indicator was flashing, so as soon as it hit 1 bar, I called it a day, and that was 40.1 miles. So I have no doubt that I could have probably eked about another 5 miles out of it, which would have put it in the 45 to 46 mile range per charge. So on a battery that's claiming 50, that's close. My other test charge was throttle only between my house and downtown, and there are some hills in between, and on that I got 21.7, which was more than I expected for throttle only, and I'm quite pleased with that result. So that's my results, 2 charges in, 2 full testing charges. Now hopefully I'll have a little more time with this. I'd like to come back to it and also try something else with it, but we'll see what works out there. Now I want to head to their website and let's talk about pricing for the Model E, because that can vary and there are lots of variables. They even have this color chooser picker, what do they call that? A color customizer thing. Let's go down to the Model E's page. Let's talk about the base Model E. That's $16.99, and look how awesome it looks without the rack. Total hot rod. You know, I wonder if that headlight is hiding behind the basket on the bike that I have. Either way, let me give you a quick look at some of the things that they say about the bike on their page. 25 miles per hour, we've confirmed that. I've talked about the 1,000 watts. And we've talked about the up to 50 mile range claim on the battery, and we'll see that they have an optional battery, and they rate their batteries by range. This is a biggie here. We're seeing a lot of e-bikes hit the US market, but they're really made for the China market, and they have a weight limit of like 250 pounds. 350 for the Model E. A little further down, they talk about their motor. They claim it's the best in the world. I don't know, time will tell on that. Now let's get down to the good stuff. They have a full battery spec section, and I like this. A lot of detailed info, including their charger, and they say here that their charger can do 2 to 3 hours for a charge, and that's 100% in line with my experience. Remember, I take a battery down to 1 bar, I charge it 2.5 hours, my average charge time to get it up to full. Right in line. Now I do want to mention I did say 4 hours for a completely depleted battery, but that was simply going by the math of a 14 amp hour battery with a charger at 3.5 to 4 amps. Theoretically, that would take 4 hours, but you shouldn't ever have a completely depleted lithium-ion battery. Moving down further, even more information, geometry and sizing. Great to see this, including what is the weight of the bike, 56 pounds, including the battery. And of course, we've already established the max weight it can carry, 350 pounds, which is great. Now, let's get to the nitty-gritty, which is price. So let's go up to the top of the page here, and you can see the Model E, their most economical bike, a base price of $16.99. Remember, this is made in the USA. Having seen it in person, having ridden it, I think that is a very acceptable base price for this bike. It is high quality, and I love the made in the USA thing. However, that is base price, so keep that in mind, because the bike that you're seeing here for $16.99 is not the bike with the extra bells and whistles that I had in the review. There's no basket, there's no fenders, there's no alarm siren mounted behind the seat tube, so no cool key fob. And I'm not knocking anything, because as this base model, I really like it for $16.99. I just want to talk to you about the options on this bike and pricing. Because, oh my gosh, are there options. Now, they told me that they were a company that built the bikes in the USA, so that meant they didn't just buy already made bikes off the shelf from some distributor and then sell them as their own. They actually build them in the USA so they can make all these custom configurations. And you can see there's 2 different drivetrains, a single speed that I have and a 7-speed, and then there's frame colors you can choose from. Lots of, ooh, look at that, KevCentral orange. And you can see with these colors, there's a couple of base colors that don't add anything to that $16.99 cost, but you get some of the different colors like that metallic gold. It might be an extra $299. We're just getting to the tip of the iceberg on the customizations. You can see I could even make the fork orange that initially I thought would look cool, but now that I see it, no it doesn't. And I like their color picker here, how it shows the differences on the bike. And also like the paint color. You get outside of a couple of basics and the price can go up. And some of these fork prices, $159 just for a fork color. Adding fenders, like is on the review bike, that's an extra $79 for the base fender. But going through, some of those prices change. Another potential of up to $159 more. On top of frame color and fork color and fender color, there are two different tire sizes, 26 and 24. There are also two trim colors, no upcharge. Ooh, look at that silver. I think I like the black better. Rims, there are 3 custom colors, no upcharge for any of those, so that's cool. Spokes, did I mention that they hand-laced their wheels and went into great detail about dipping their nipples in oil? I'm going to get into all that. How about tire options? Fat Franks in black, Fat Franks with tan and white, or a Continental upcharge premium tires, $89. And I gotta admit, for $89, those look pretty good. There are just so many options. I don't know what to choose. This could get confusing fast. Now, I do want to mention something. I got down here to the battery and I noticed something. When I go to the 70-mile battery, that's the 14 amp hour, that's the battery I have. So I'm not getting 70 out of that battery, but I am getting what I believe is acceptable, especially with the fast charging. Because let's say somehow I rode 40 miles to work, then I could charge the battery while I was at work for my first 4 hours, go to lunch on the bike, somehow drain down the battery, and then charge it for the 4 more hours before I headed 40 miles home. Or more, with more charge cycles, maybe that will change. I'll follow up as long as I have this spot. Back to the customizer, the point that I'm trying to make. Oh, pop-ups, don't you hate those unless it's giving you a coupon like that one was, and then it's beneficial. But there are so many options here that can A, change the price, or B, give you so many options, because there's a lot here. They did a really good job, giving ample opportunities to customize. That said, I decided to do something. We've established $16.99 for the base bike, which again, looks super cool. But I went through and I configured this bike the exact way that it was sent to me as the review bike. That means adding fenders. That means adding the basket with the basket liner. I added the proper battery, the right color grips, the alarm system, all that stuff to see how much this would cost for the bike as I have it for the review bike, and here you go, $25.74, which at first seems shocking, but then I start thinking about it and how well this bike is made, knowing where it is made, and look at all the features that it has and how much I like it. And I don't know that if I didn't hear that $16.99 that this would even bother me. Now, let me also say they sent this bike for me to review, but I'm not sponsored. I haven't been paid. I don't even have affiliate links for these guys. I don't even know how long I'm going to get to keep the bike. If I do get to keep the bike, then maybe you'll see at the beginning that this is a sponsored video because of the way YouTube rates that now. But as of right now, it's definitely not sponsored. So I'm going to tell you, these are all my opinions based on nothing, no monetary gain of any kind. And still at $25.74 for what this bike is, I'd be pretty happy with that. But in all honesty, the most appealing to me would be the base configuration at $16.99, which is not a bad price, knowing what I have seen of the quality that it is, made and designed in the United States, delivered via freight service on a wooden pallet that you can literally ride the bike off of, because it's all done for the buyer, pre-configured, already set up. And again, here in the USA, and I know I'm beating that drum a lot, but to me that's a drum that needs to be played more. And congrats to Electric Bike Company for bringing this option, a made in the USA e-bike, to the market, and for letting me have a go at it, because I'm that impressed. So I want to know now what you think. Comment below, did you know there was a USA e-bike? Did you know it was this one? Love to hear what you have to say. I hope that you subscribe if you haven't already. Depending upon how much more time I have with this bike, I'll maybe do a follow-up video, maybe if I get lucky, a couple of modifications or something like that. If you have any questions about it, comment below and maybe I'll give you a shout out in an upcoming High Five Friday video. I've put a link down in the description if you want to take a look at this bike on the Electric Bike Company website. Thanks for watching KevCentral and have a great day.